Well, I think he just, you know, I think he's a wonderful writer who came with a really great sense of humor to the film and an understanding, I guess, of really this. There's a sweetness about it, I think, that he brought. I don't know how you guys work together, Eric, in terms of, because.
Yeah, and you know, we all really worked together and collaborated on this. And Noah is like, he's such an even-keel guy. He's an incredible collaborator. But he brought this kind of special depth and heart.
Yeah.
And
At one point,
nuance.
he wanted Alex to try to commit suicide, and I said we shouldn't go with that.
Yeah, right.
I said we got to keep it a little lighter for the kids.
Yeah,
But otherwise, he was a lot of fun. He has to figure out, first of all, who he is, which I think Alex has sort of been trying to figure out through all the movies. And he, again, like gets in this situation with Gia where he's kind of saying he's something that he isn't or someone that he isn't. And, you know, I feel like the theme of the films is really about finding out, for Alex finding out who he is, and also the friendship of everybody there being there for each other. And when we finally get to New York, you know, we realize that we're not the people who we thought we were. And then we get trapped in the zoo again. And there's something, I guess, in the story about how we're always there for each other. And that, to me, is kind of what the thing that Alex gets, is that, you know, his friends are there for him, he's there for his friends. And
I like all the children's movies. I like that a lot of the children's movies have jokes for adults. So, I mean, I've been at movies with my kids, and my kids will get fidgety. And like, oh, we want to go. And I'm like, we're not going until I find out what happens to this bear. You know? So, it's like, we are watching this movie. So, I got no complaints with children's movies.
Yeah, what about you, Jada?
I like children's movies. I think what I like most about children's movies are how sophisticated the themes are, and at the same time how unsophisticated the themes are. You know, that it gives a child an opportunity to, especially with the animations and Madagascar in particular, it gives a child an opportunity to exercise imagination. And I feel as though when you open a child's mind in that way, there are lots of information or things that a child can absorb unconsciously. And that's one of my favorite aspects of animation, of how sophisticated the relationships are and can be, to also kind of broaden emotional intelligence in children, which I think is most important. But I would say that's my favorite aspect.
I had never done anything before where I didn't have my, work with another actor and a scene partner. So there's the challenge of that and challenge of trying to express yourself completely with just your voice and not use your face or your body, which I've never done that. But the wonderful thing that I discovered from it is that there's so much freedom in that because, of course, in animation, you can play any character.
And you, Martin, I mean, you've done, as you said, several voices. I mean, in this particular film, how easy or difficult was it to manage the balance between comedy, action, psychology?
Well, I think it's really up to the directors and creators. You know, that you know, in my first couple of sessions of doing this character, it was all very loud, and then at a certain point, you know, it was more defined than that. But then at a certain point, there was a feeling that now you had to add a level of sensitivity to the character, and he could be a little quieter, and so it's constant evolution, and they hold the cards as to the best way to do it.
Yeah.
You know, just for the action, it's a very difficult job that everyone does because when they're running down the street, they have to run in place. You know, and they have to project when there's high action, you know, and also be as intimate when they're in intimate scenes. It's very difficult because, as Jessica was saying, you're alone behind a mic, and you have to use your imagination. So it's great credit to these actors and comedians to put themselves and imagine this world around them and these things happening.
And some of the actors here have limited imagination, so.
We want names. We want names.
Ben, you want to comment on that?
No, I don't.
Oh, just curious.
Okay.
I mean, like, as a director, I always like people that are too big, because it's so much easier to get them down than to get somebody who is too small up. That's like, oh, that's the most frustrating thing in the world. So I improv all the freaking time until they tell me to stop. And they go, okay, we got to get this line. You got to say circus. And I make sure after a lot of improvs that I say exactly what they want me to say, but I try to, all right, guys?
Yeah, I mean, that is the great thing about our process, and it's what we want, is we want to leverage off of these guys, you know, who are, you know, not only great actors, you know, writers, comedians, filmmakers. And a big part of our process is letting these guys do what they do, and helping us to find these characters and to find these scenes and to find our story. And, you know, without that freedom, like as Martin was saying, you know, giving them the time and the space to just experiment, you know, to go off and try something for 10 or 15 minutes or whatever. And it's okay because, you know, there's not 200 people and cameras rolling and rendered lights and everything else. I mean, we can just go to the studio and play around. And as our producer, Murray Soria, says, it's kind of like this 3 or 4 year process of kind of workshopping a play. And so we wouldn't have the kinds of film we have if we didn't give these guys a chance to bring their genius to the table.
No, I just say I'm really excited to be here. It's my first time here. And to have my voice in a film at Cannes is a good step towards actually being in a movie, full movie at Cannes. So I hope to someday I aspire to that also.